Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucy and in today's video it is one of my most favourite videos of the year. It is my most anticipated books of 2023. So 2023 is already shaping up to be a 10 out of 10 year for book releases, and I really wanted to talk you through some of my personal highlights, and hopefully you will have lots of ideas for your 2023 TBRs. So first, a quick thank you, because obviously we are reaching the end of the year. It might even be 2023 when you're watching this. But I wanted to quickly say thank you so much for sticking with me in 2022. It's been a year of like change, which I really will go into. I usually kind of do a resolutions type video looking back and also looking forward, so I'll kind of go into more of that in that video. But it has been a up and down year, especially when it comes to YouTube. And I just wanted to quickly say thank you for sticking by me and for being a subscriber to this channel. So thank you, and I really hope you enjoy this video. So let's just get cracking, shall we? Because we have got a lot of books to talk about, like too many almost. And it's worth saying these are not in any particular order. They're also not in pub day order. I just basically added them to the list like in terms of, I guess, priority for me. So bear with me, but first off, I have to go with my number one choice that I'm so excited for in 2023, and that is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. So Hellbent is the sequel to Ninth House, which is a dark academia book set at Yale, all about secret societies, and it's basically got a magical element as well. It's Leigh Bardugo's adult debut, and Hellbent is the sequel to Ninth House. Now, I do not want to go into what this book is about because spoilers galore. I've been trying to actively avoid looking at what the plot synopsis is for this because I don't want to know. Like, I don't want to know. So I think like if you don't know what this series is about, trust me, I would recommend reading Ninth House. There are kind of like content warnings, I guess, for this series because it is dark academia, it's adult, and it is quite dark. Like, not gonna lie, it's quite a dark series, and Leigh Bardugo just manages to craft a very magical world with a kind of more like gritty underbelly, dark underbelly of Yale University and the secret societies at play there. But Hellbent is released in January, so not very long at all when you're watching this, and I've got it on pre-order, the beautiful Waterstone special edition. And honestly, like, I am so excited for this book. So this is top of my list at the moment. Give me Hellbent and give it now. Okay, so the second book I really want to talk to you guys about is one that I'm actually so excited about, and this is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. So Holly Black's YA never fails to captivate me, and this book is actually a spin-off to The Cruel Prince world, following Jude's brother. So this follows Jude's brother, Prince Oak, and is basically his kind of story, and I'm really excited to go back to this world, and I really hope that we see an older Jude and Cardan just living their best lives. I'm not gonna lie, that like literally fills me with so much joy. So I would recommend reading the Cruel Prince series if you are interested in The Stolen Heir. But honestly, like, fairies, magic, romance, it's like the perfect Holly Black combination, and I'm really looking forward to a new Holly Black world to enjoy. And this book is also publishing in January, so really not that far away, and I cannot wait to read it very soon. Okay, so my third most anticipated book of 2023 is a proof copy that I have. I know, I'm very lucky. This is publishing in February 2023, and this is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. So this is Roshani's debut adult novel, I believe. So this is her first adult book. She usually writes beautiful YA fantasy, but this is a very intriguing premise. So let me just tell you what this book's actually about. So it's described as a sumptuous gothic infused story about a marriage unraveled by dark secrets, a friendship cursed to end in tragedy, and the danger of believing in fairy tales. The breathtaking adult debut from New York Times bestselling Roshani Chokshi. So it says, once upon a time, a man who believed in fairy tales married a beautiful woman named Indigo Maxwell Castaneda. In exchange for her love, she extracted a promise that he would never ever pry into her past. But when Indigo's dying aunt summons them to her childhood home, the bridegroom is unable to resist. So basically it is a dark tale about this wife's secrets all coming out. They have to go back to this like kind of dark manor house, and whilst they're there, all of these secrets tend to unfurl. So I'm really excited about this. Like a really dark gothic book centered on a marriage. I'm really intrigued to see what this debut adult novel from Roshani Chokshi will be like. It promises to be amazing. So this is out in February and I am very excited about it. Now, the fourth most anticipated book of 2023 for me is Lies We Sing to the Sea by Sarah Underwood. And this is a YA Greek mythology retelling. So it sounds amazing, and also there's not a lot of like YA Greek mythology retelling, so this is what immediately kind of like drew me to this book. So let me just read you the blurb. It says, each spring Ithaca condemns 12 maidens to the noose. This is the price vengeful Poseidon demands for the lives of Queen Penelope's 12 maids, hanged and cast into the depths centuries ago. But when that fate comes for Leto, death is not what she thought it would be. Instead, she wakes on a mysterious island and meets a girl with green eyes and the power to command the sea, a girl named Melantho, who says one more death can stop 1,000. The Prince of Ithaca must die, or the tides of fate will drown them all. And then it says, Sarah Underwood weaves an epic tapestry of lies, love and tragedy, perfect for fans of Madeline Miller, Alexandra Bracken and Renee Ahdieh. So sign me up is all I'm saying. I think there is kind of a sapphic element to this book as well. So I'm really intrigued to read this book. It looks amazing. I actually think I do have an arc of it on my Kindle, so I might be reading this sooner than I thought, but it is publishing on the 7th of March and I am so pumped for this book. And fifth on my list, because I just saw this on my shelves and I was like, how can I not include this book? It is by one of my favourite all-time authors, Susan Dennard, and this is The Luminaries. The Luminaries is actually publishing in January 2023, so another book that's out very soon, so do get your pre-orders in. This beautiful proof is actually by the UK publishers, so thank you to Daphne Press for kindly sending me this book. I honestly am so hyped because, as I said, I really love Susan Dennard's writing. She is the author of the Truth Witch books, which I read the first two and I need to catch up with the series, but I was really impressed by Truth Witch and Wind Witch. And on the proof, actually, there's not really a description on what this book's about, but let me just read you one of the quotes, like one of the author quotes. And this is by Olivia Blake, who's quoted, "The Luminaries is your next obsession. Steeped in supernatural lore with a contemporary riff on courtly intrigue, the allure of Susan Dennard's world of nightmares and their hunters is rivaled only by the secrets of the Luminaries themselves. Part family drama, part fantasy procedural, part helpful guide to monster hunting, all with a dash of romantic tension. This book is all my favourite things combined." By that quote alone, I'm like, hi, this is my next favourite read and I would like to read this immediately. I will let you guys know my thoughts about this. I do really intend to read this very soon, so I cannot wait. And thank you to Daphne Press and Black Crow PR for kindly sending me a proof copy. Okay, now the next book I am so freaking excited about. This is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, and this is publishing in July 2023. Now, what really intrigues me about Chloe Gong's books, I still have not read any of her books, but that is going to change, I promise. I really like how she kind of spins Shakespeare into a kind of fantasy YA, and this book is no exception. So in Immortal Longings, this is a retelling, I guess, of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, and it's described as a fiery collision of power plays, spilled blood, and romance set amidst a set of deadly games. Now, sign me up. This sounds absolutely perfect. And this is about a world where every year there are these games set. So these games are held where people can compete to win like unimaginable riches. So this is kind of like a fantasy Hunger Games. It kind of like reminds me of that. I really want to know how the Antony and Cleopatra kind of comparison is drawn into that. So sign me up. Immortal Longings sounds incredible, and this is out in July. Now, jumping back a bit, I have a bit of a surprise addition to this list, because last year on my most anticipated books list, I had a book called This Woven Kingdom by Tahera Mafi on the list. Now, I read that book and I was really disappointed apart from the very end. And now, I really want to mention the sequel to This Woven Kingdom, which is called These Infinite Threads, and this is publishing in February. And honestly, I dithered about whether or not to put this on this list, because I was so excited about the first book, and even though I didn't love that book, I even said in my review of it that the ending alone kind of like intrigued me and made me want to pick up the sequel. So I am going to include the sequel on this list because I'm not going to lie, the ending of the first book has made me really want to know how the series will continue. So These Infinite Threads, I believe, picks up straight after the events of This Woven Kingdom, and I don't want to spoil anything about this book, but basically it is a Persian inspired fantasy world where these mythical magical beings called jinn exist, and they are kind of like feared and hated in this society. So book 2 promises to be really good, at least I hope so. I hope it's better than the first book, but I love Tahera Mafi. I adored her Shatter Me series, so I really do hope book 2 takes me by surprise and reminds me of why I added the first book to my most anticipated. But that's publishing in February. Do let me know if you've also read This Woven Kingdom, what you thought about it, and if These Infinite Threads will be on your most anticipated list too. Okay, so next up is a new book from Rebecca Ross, who is the author of A River Enchanted. Now this book is called Divine Rivals, and this sounds so unique, so unusual. This is a standalone, I believe, and it is a fantasy book. So let me just read you what the plot's about, because like I've not really encountered a book like this. It sounds super unique. It says, when two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war among gods to seal their fate forever. Shadow and Bone meets Law in this epic enemies to lovers fantasy filled with hope and heartbreak and the unparalleled power of love. I mean, that sounds so perfect. I'm really intrigued by this like rival journalist type situation. And also the fact that there are kind of journalists set amongst this war between gods. Like that kind of really intrigues me, how those two kind of seemingly like mundane versus very abstract ideas are kind of like brought together. So I'm really intrigued by this, and this is publishing on April the 4th. Now I have heard really good things about Rebecca Ross. I still have to read A River Enchanted, but I've heard so many good things about that book that honestly I'm like, what am I waiting for? I need to read something by Rebecca Ross already. Now the next book I really want to mention is Song of Silver, Flame Like Night by Amelie Wen Zhao. Now this book is a fantasy book, like most of the books on this list. In fact, I have no shame. I am just really craving fantasy at the minute, but this book in particular sounds perfect. So this is an epic fantasy series inspired by the mythology and folklore of ancient China. So this book centers on a colonized city, I believe, and follows a girl called Lan who is living a life of kind of poverty and, you know, destitution. And then she meets a boy called Zen, who I believe is magical, like has magic. And he is one of the last fabled magicians of the kingdom. He then discovers that Lan actually is a sorceress herself, like she has magic too. And this is basically a quest where the two of them seek to recapture their colonized land and free it from its captors, essentially. So this sounds incredible, like weaving the magic of the kind of like mythology and folklore of ancient China. Sounds incredible, like sign me up to that. And this is also publishing in January. So many books are publishing in January. I'm gonna have the biggest TBR, so not too long to wait for this one as well. Now, the penultimate book I really want to mention is The Scarlet Veil, and this is by Shelby Maharin. So this is a spin-off series, I believe, to Serpent and Dove, and this book, The Scarlet Veil, follows Selly's point of view. So Sally is a character in Serpent and Dove in that series. I really grew to love her character by the end of the series, and the fact that she now is having her own spin-off, I'm like all for. Now what's really intriguing about this series is that it focuses on vampires. So I'm already obsessed with this. I already am craving this series so much. Do you not feel like vampires are really having a moment again? The old Twilight fangirl in me is so happy about this. And according to Goodreads, The Scarlet Veil is publishing in August, so I am honestly so stoked for this. Like, I cannot wait to read this book. I think like the mixture of a different character from the series, hopefully we'll see some familiar faces in this series as well. But Shelby Maharin has quickly become one of my favorite fantasy authors, and I genuinely will now read whatever she writes. So sign me up to The Scarlet Veil. This is publishing in August, and I'm very excited. Now the final book of this video, my final anticipated book of 2023, is one that I'm not 100% sure is actually publishing this year, but I really hope it is. And this is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. So it does say on Goodreads that this is coming out in September 2023. I'm going to take that with a pinch of salt because I work in publishing. I know pub dates change all of the time, so I'm not going to hold that date as like the date because it might not end up happening. But Swordcatcher is actually Cassandra Clare's adult debut novel. I am so excited for this. When I started this channel, I was the biggest Cassandra Clare fan. I was obsessed with the Mortal Instruments, I was obsessed with the Infernal Devices, and since then I've steadily been trying to catch up with her series. So I have just finished the Dark Artifices series. I do intend to catch up with the Last Hours series as well very soon. But it'll be really interesting to see Cassandra Clare write something that is a brand new fantasy world that is completely her own and is not Shadowhunter related. So I know that she has written a middle grade series with Holly Black, The Magisterium I think it was called. I did not love that, and I think it's because I'm not the biggest middle grade reader. But Swordcatcher, I'm already pumped about this because it is an adult fantasy debut, and I do feel my tastes are really leaning towards adult fantasy at the moment. So I'm really hyped for this. I really hope it does publish this year. I just cannot wait. So this is sneaking in as number 11 on my list in kind of a hopeful addition to my most anticipated. I also don't think there's a new Sarah J Maas in 2023, which I'm a little bit sad about because we have been spoiled over the last few years by like really chunky Sarah J Maas books coming out. I don't think there is one this year. I have a feeling it will be 2024. So we've got that to look forward to at least. But that is the end of my most anticipated books of 2023. All of these have basically been fantasy. So I would really love if you can let me know what's on your 2023 most anticipated list. And also, hopefully it'll help me add more books to my 2023 TBR. I'm very excited for that. And thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've discovered some new books to add to your TBR for this year. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my new video. Bye!